Shalom. This is Brother Naquam from YNS Naquam 144. I just start off by saying all praise to Yahawa Mashapat, salutation that I can push this point sincere and truth. Brothers throughout the four corners, the elders, all in the spirit, and fighting a good fight. I want to get into some quick prophecy here. Just going to bring out a couple scriptures and then go into these nukes. I've got a video to show you about the effects of the nukes when they drop. So I'm going to bring out a couple of scriptures and so forth. Then I'll let the guy take it from there. You can watch the rest. Let me go straight to Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahawa will smite all the people that fought against Jerusalem. Okay, that's all these other nations, mainly dealing with Esau. Okay, the Edomites, which will be a so-called white man today. Okay, so-called Americans and elites. Okay, their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes. Okay, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Okay, and that's going to be from the heat of these ICBM nuclear missiles going to be shot off by Russia, okay, China, North Korea, Iran, so forth. Okay, the heat of those missiles will, anybody in a center point radius when it drops will be evaporated, or anybody a few miles away from that also you'll be melted away. But the ones that are basically under the core of it, you'll be automatically evaporated. Okay, that's the judgment that the Most High is bringing. Okay, because it's time for us to go back to the kingdom. It's time for this kingdom to go down. So that's what's coming, man. Let's jump to the main one, actually, the start of it. Blow off the coals. Here you go. Behold, this is Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created a smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Okay, that's those scientists today. Okay, back in the day, you'd have a blacksmith, and you'd create weapons of war, shields, buckler, and create what you need for going into battle. So today's battle would be fought with ICBMs. It's not going to be fought with buckler and shield and sword anymore. Okay, the modern day sword is a gun. Okay, and the missiles and so forth. Okay, so that's what the Most High is bringing. Okay, so he's created these scientists to bring forth these weapons specifically. The coals in the fire. So basically, these scientists have tended to these weapons. Like they've been careful with them. Okay, because to be able to split atoms and create a reaction without it going off in the vicinity, you have to blow the coals. Basically means to tend to the weaponry. You know what I'm saying? Temper the heat and everything. Like from back in the day, you would temper the water and dip hot metal in the water. It would turn it straight solid. Okay, when you rapidly cool down metal. Okay, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. Okay, and I've created a ways to destroy. So the Most High has created these Edomites to bring these forth. Okay, which is their destruction. Let's jump also to Isaiah 14. 23. Here we go. So this is going to be the effects, like going into the effects of it now. I'll also make it a possession for the bittern, okay, and pools of water. Okay, so America is going to be a desert. It's going to be having potholes, there's craters and all of that. Okay, because when these bombs drop, they create massive craters. Okay, especially with the fireball blast. Okay, it creates a huge radius. I will sweep it with the Besom of destruction. Okay, that's that the radius of the heat wave. Radiation comes out of that. Then you have fallout, nuclear fallout. But the sweep is that hot, super hot, that airflow. Okay, you see when a bomb drops, and you get the mushroom cloud that rises up out of it. Okay, so I'll make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water. Okay, that's gonna be the desert animals that what do you call it? That dwell in those lands after. Okay, I'll sweep it with the best of destruction, saith Yahawa of hosts. Okay. So I'm just gonna show you the video here, and you can listen to the rest of this. And Edomite goes into the effects of Tsar bomber, because the SS Satan hasn't been what do you call that? There's no radius on it yet, because it's the latest the bomb that they have in Russia. But the Tsar bomber, this is the effects of the Tsar bomber for now. Okay. Shalom.
Due to many requests from subscribers, I have decided to do a video on what the Tsar bomba could look like if it were dropped in different parts of the world. Now I'm going to do a quick review of my original video where I said the bomb was dropped somewhere in this area, but I was actually a little bit off. The actual location of where the bomb was dropped was right over here. Above this little pond or giant pond or little lake, whatever it is. It was released at about 10 kilometers in the air, which was roughly 6.5 miles. It detonated at 4.2 kilometers above sea level, which is about 14,000 feet above sea level, or a little over 2.5 miles. It was also 4 kilometers above the ground level, or about 13,000 feet above ground level, which is about 2.4 miles above the ground. That's where it detonated. Now I'm going to pull back here, and I have a red circle. This red circle represents the blast radius, or I should say the total destructive blast radius of the first atomic bomb ever used in the history of the world, which was a bomb named Little Boy that they dropped over the city of Hiroshima, Japan on August 6, 1945. It had a total destructive blast radius of 1.6 kilometers, 1 mile. 1 mile of total and complete destruction. The Tsar bomba is a lot different. The Tsar bomba was much more powerful than this one. You can see the epicenter here. This circle, this next circle, I should say, represents the total, complete destructive blast radius of the Tsar bomba. And that turned out to be 55 kilometers or 34 miles. So everything within that radius was totally and completely destroyed. It was decimated. Now the next circle, just beyond that, is a circle where anybody within that circle, if they weren't totally destroyed by the blast, would have had third-degree burns, and that is 100 kilometers away from the epicenter, 100 kilometers, which is 62 miles away. That means if there were no structures in the way like hills, mountains, trees, buildings, or whatever, they would have received third-degree burns. I'm going to pull back a little further now. And you can see the big circle here. This big circle is the circle, which is 560 miles or 900 kilometers, where if there was a clear line of sight, windows were blown out from about 900 kilometers away. Now, I'm going to take that information and make some comparisons. And the first comparison I'm going to do is right below, right here in Moscow. You can see, I'm going to zoom in. And right at the center of Moscow is Red Square, or the Kremlin. And if we get in close, you can see this right here is Red Square. This area here is within the Kremlin, within the Red Wall. And the first circle I put up there is the circle that represents the first atomic bomb, the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. So if it were dropped right over the top of the Kremlin, it would have a blast radius of 1.6 kilometers or 1 mile, and everything within that radius would have been totally and completely destroyed, or at least if it wasn't made of concrete. Now, if we pull back a little, you could see that the majority of Moscow would be pretty much intact. However, as we pull back further, you can see the destructive radius of the Tsar Bomba. If the Tsar Bomba was dropped above Moscow, it would have totally and completely decimated the entire city, along with a huge portion of the outskirts beyond it. 55 kilometers from the epicenter, or 34 miles out, would have been totally and completely destroyed. So we go back further. You can see the third-degree burn radius, 100 kilometers away or 62 miles away. Anybody within this circle, if they were in a clear line of sight, would have third-degree burns. And as we go back further, you can see the 900 kilometer or the 560 mile broken window radius. Anything within clear line of sight of the bomb up to 900 kilometers away or 560 miles away could have or would have had their windows blown out. Now I took that same information and I put it over the center of London, and this red circle represents the destructive blast radius of the first atomic bomb that was ever used. You can see this is a circle that represents total destruction, and as we pull back, London is a pretty large city, and you can see that most of it would have been intact if a bomb like the one used on Hiroshima was dropped over the city of London. Now I'm going to pull back further, and you can see the next circle is the total destructive radius that the Tsar Bomba would have caused if it was dropped on the same city of London. The entire city would have been completely decimated, as well as a good portion of the country beyond the city. And of course, the third circle is the third-degree burn circle, 100 kilometers or 62 miles. Third-degree burns would have been felt within that circle. And as I pull back further, you're going to see the 900-kilometer blast radius. And over here, I put the same information over Paris, France. Just for a comparison, you can see right here, this circle in the center of Paris represents the Hiroshima bomb. The next circle represents the Tsar Bomba. And of course, the third circle represents the third-degree burn zone. And the bigger circle represents the broken window zone. So that gives you a pretty good idea of how powerful the Tsar Bomba was compared to the first atomic bomb ever used. Now, I also put that same comparison over the city I was born in, which is Los Angeles, California, and you can see here in the heart of Los Angeles, if the Hiroshima bomb was dropped over Los Angeles, you could see the destructive radius right here of 1.6 kilometers or 1 mile. And as we pull back, you could see that the majority of Los Angeles would have been just fine. However, if the Tsar Bomba was dropped in the same location, you can see right here, this circle would have totally destroyed the entire city and gone well beyond it. And of course, beyond that, you have the third-degree burn zone. And if we go further, you have the 900-kilometer broken window zone, which reaches all the way as far north as Oregon and past Northern California. It goes as far east as New Mexico and touches the corner of Colorado. And it goes as far south as well over the halfway point in Baja California, Mexico. So anything within a clear line of sight of that bomb within 900 kilometers or 560 miles would have had its windows broken that far away. Now, the last comparison I want to make is actually in the city of Hiroshima, Japan, where the first atomic bomb was ever dropped. When they dropped that bomb, they were aiming for this T-shaped bridge right here in the middle of the city. The bomb did not detonate directly above this bridge. It actually detonated, I believe it detonated somewhere over in this general area right over here. But they did not consider that a miss because it was so close to the intended target or the intended bullseye that with an atomic bomb, that was pretty much a direct hit. Now, as I pull back, you will see this red circle right here. This is the circle or the radius of total destruction that bomb created, 1.6 kilometers or 1 mile. Everything within this circle was totally and completely destroyed, except for a few concrete buildings that were directly below it. They were able to withstand the blast. Everything else was gone. And you can see as we pull back, The majority of the city was not totally decimated by the initial blast. Now, if we pull back further, let me show you what the Tsar Bomba would look like if it was dropped over the same exact location. It would have not only totally destroyed the entire city of Hiroshima, but it would have taken out a good fraction of the country. If you look here, and beyond that, you can see the third-degree burn radius, which is absolutely huge compared to the size of the island. And if we go back further, you can see the 900-kilometer or the 560-mile broken window radius, which means anything within a clear line of sight would have had some windows broken. And you look at it, it covers the entire country of North and South Korea, entire countries of North and South Korea, the majority of Japan, and goes way down south, almost to Okinawa. So there you have it. A comparison in different parts of the world with the Tsar Bomba, what it could have done if it were dropped on different parts of the world right here on Google Earth.